You've accomplished several things so far. You came up with an idea for writing, you did some thinking and planned how to develop your topic. Hopefully, you even started doing some research on the topic. That helped you write a good thesis statement. Finally, you started writing your first draft and came up with a good introduction. What's next? Stick around and let's start writing topic statements and body paragraphs. Hi, welcome to Snap Language Learner. My name is Mark Franco. Let's take a look at the outline I came up with for this thesis statement. Donating blood has several benefits. After doing some initial research, I decided I could support my thesis with these main ideas. Remember, the controlling idea has to do with benefits. I decided I could write about personal and social benefits, preventive health benefits, and medical benefits. These will be my paragraphs. So together, my body paragraphs will support the thesis that donating blood has several benefits. Before we get into the paragraphs, let's address some common questions about body paragraphs. First, what's the difference between the introduction and body paragraphs? They're all paragraphs, but they have different functions. The function of the introduction is 1. To give your readers an understanding of the broad topic and to frame the topic. 2. To get your readers' attention, to get them interested in reading your work. And 3. To introduce your thesis statement. Now, the function of body paragraphs is to actually do what the thesis says it does. It's where you put the information that supports your thesis. You need to walk your readers through your thinking in a way that supports the central point. But what does that mean to support an idea? Here's an example. Bananas are healthy snacks. How can you support this idea about bananas? Does this support it? Bananas are good sources of potassium. Well, yes, we need potassium to be healthy, so yes, this supports the idea that bananas are healthy snacks. How about this? A study shows that bananas may improve blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes. Yes, excellent. Bananas are cheap and easy to find in stores. Well, that's true, but it does not support the idea that bananas are healthy. Being cheap and easy to find has nothing to do with being healthy. You could include that information in a paragraph just as a general comment about bananas, but it doesn't support the idea that bananas are healthy snacks. So again, the function of body paragraphs is to provide information that supports your thesis. Another question about body paragraphs is, how many body paragraphs do you need? Well, you need as much information as it takes to support your thesis well. So, in a way, the number of paragraphs depends on your thesis. You don't need much information to support a simple thesis, then you wouldn't need many paragraphs. If your thesis is very complex, you'll need a lot more information, then you'll need more body paragraphs. Remember, when we talked about generating ideas in part 2 of the series, we saw that if it's an assignment for college, are there requirements for how long or how short your work needs to be? You don't want to have too much information or not enough, depending on any length requirements. So when you generate your idea for writing, you should consider what idea is appropriate and how much information, then how many paragraphs, you'll need to support it well. Besides, not all writing is the same. For a college assignment, for example, you may be required to include a minimum number of paragraphs. College professors will also expect you to include a certain amount of information coming from outside sources. If that's the type of writing you're doing, you should check with the instructor. If you're writing for your own blog or for your own website, for example, you should ask yourself what your audience expects too. Would they be happy with a short article with 1 or 2 body paragraphs? It's up to you to consider these things and decide how many paragraphs you think you'll need. In writing courses, sometimes instructors assign what's called a 5-paragraph essay. That's just something instructors like to assign. Having 3 body paragraphs is not a rule. A passage can have as many body paragraphs as you need to support your thesis. Another question is, what type of information do you need in your paragraphs? Again, it depends. What type of writing is it? In many situations, you get to decide what information you want to include. In academic or professional writing, you're more likely to need outside sources to support your thesis. You should also consider your audience. Remember, I also said this in part 2 of the series, who's going to read your work? If you expect your audience to know a lot about the topic already, you don't have to explain certain concepts in your writing. If you think the audience does not know much about it, you'll need to explain a lot more. Think about these details, plan and take notes. Then use your notes during the writing stage. This way your writing will be focused. Well, does your audience expect you to include research in your work? Does your audience expect a lot of well-documented facts and statistics? If not, do what you want. If so, you'd better hit the library and start collecting a lot of information to back up your claims. Speaking of libraries, where do I find the information? What are good sources? Again, it depends. Here's a list of types of sources. If your writing is informal and your audience doesn't expect any outside sources, your information can come from your personal experience, from your knowledge about the topic, or maybe from some media and internet sources. If your audience expects a lot of high-quality, credible information, you should be looking at professional websites, professional textbooks, journal articles. By the way, a journal is where scientists publish their studies. Journal articles can be hard to read because their audience is scholars and scientists who already know a lot about a topic. But hey, be curious and learn things. You just never know. Wow, that's a lot of information already, and we haven't even looked at our first body paragraph. All right, so let's do it. Remember, our thesis is that donating blood has several benefits. We already wrote the introduction, so here's a possible first body paragraph to support that thesis. First, donating blood has personal and social benefits. Knowing your blood can help people in need, even save lives, has a positive psychological effect. You simply feel good about yourself because you know you're doing something good. This promotes good mental health. It can increase happiness and help reduce depression. It is a simple process, but it can change many things. In addition, leaving your home to donate blood creates the opportunity to interact with others. You can even meet interesting people this way, which is stimulating because you socialize outside of your usual environment. You also know that your actions have a positive impact on your community. You have a sense that you're contributing and making your community a better place, not only for others, but also for yourself. This is not a perfect paragraph. If we worked on it some more, I'm sure we could improve it. This is your first draft. This is stage 2, the writing stage. The important thing now is to develop your ideas into writing. We can improve all your paragraphs in stage 3 of the process. Let's take a quick look at how this paragraph was built. You can see in the outline that I had decided to support the thesis by discussing these benefits. For my first paragraph, I plan to discuss the personal and social benefits of donating blood. That was going to be the main idea of the first paragraph. When I wrote the paragraph, I made sure to include information about each of these ideas to support that main idea. And that main idea supports the thesis. First, I made sure the paragraph had a good topic statement. We talked about topic statements in the previous video, part 4. As a reminder, the topic statement is a sentence that states what the paragraph is about. A topic statement has the topic and a controlling idea. Remember, the controlling idea is what you say about the topic. The topic of this paragraph is the same as the topic for the thesis statement, donating blood. What am I saying about the topic, about donating blood? That it has personal and social benefits. Let's try a topic statement for our next body paragraph. Donating blood has preventive health benefits. That's repetitive, isn't it? Let's change it a bit so it doesn't sound just like the first topic statement. Donating blood can help you detect preventable diseases. That's much better. For more information on paragraphs built around topic statements, I recommend you watch the Snap Language Learner reading videos on main ideas. I'll leave links in the descriptions. Let's go back to our paragraph. For our first body paragraph, the idea is that donating blood has personal and social benefits. This is the main idea of the paragraph. I supported the topic statement by adding information about the social benefits here and information about the personal benefits here. But wait, you know what? I don't like this. You see that this information is actually about mental health, about psychological effects. Hey, no problem. Remember, this is the first draft. Just like your thesis statement is a working thesis, you're still developing your topic statements too. You can improve them. So let's change this to donating blood has social and mental health benefits. Or maybe social and psychological benefits. Okay, this is good enough for a draft. Don't get too caught up on small details. In stage 2, you should focus on getting your ideas on paper. The time to work on small details is in stage 3. However, I see something here that's really bothering me. What's this idea doing here? It's a simple process. It can change many things. What things? What does that have to do with the personal or psychological benefits of donating blood? It doesn't really support the topic statement, does it? If it doesn't support the main idea of the paragraph, then it doesn't support the thesis either. This idea does not belong in this paragraph. Let's just get rid of it. One more thing though, have you noticed this paragraph doesn't show any of my research? Especially if this is for professional or college level writing, that's a big problem. You need to back up your claims with facts and data from other sources. Here's a version of this paragraph with all the references. Notice that I showed that I'm not just writing based on what I know or based on my life experiences. I showed that this information is also coming from outside sources. For example, here I wrote, according to the source, this means this portion is someone else's idea that I'm using to support my own idea. And here I wrote, Flavin reports that. Flavin is the researcher who reported this. At the end of most written work, there's a section listing all the references. I don't want this video to be too long, and these details are not really within the scope of this series. Part 8 will have additional information about documenting your sources. Anyhow, if you're taking a writing course, I'm sure your instructor will give you more details on how to do all that. So what's next? From here, you finish your other body paragraphs, making sure you support your thesis well. Then you move on to the concluding paragraph. But that's for the next video. Please support Snap Language Learner by liking and sharing our videos, subscribing, and clicking the bell. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.